My heart was thumping a frantic rhythm against my ribs, each beat echoing the panicked drum of a large woman's footfalls behind me. All I'd wanted was a damn storage bin. Instead, I was practically running for my life, or at least my sanity, through the home goods aisle of Walmart, a screaming banshee convinced I was a rogue employee, a lazy ass, and apparently now a shove-happy assailant. Seriously, who wakes up and decides this is how their Tuesday is gonna go? It all started innocently enough. I'm Ethan, just your average dude, and I was on a mission for a specific, extra-large storage bin. You know, the kind that can swallow a small car. I spotted it, high up on a display shelf, gleaming like a plastic beacon of organizational hope. I was just reaching for it, mentally congratulating myself on a quick trip, when she materialized. She was substantial, a formidable woman, her face already pinched with a sort of preemptive irritation. Before I could even fully grasp the bin, she was right there, blocking my path, hands on her hips. "Excuse me, sir," she barked, her voice already carrying a surprising amount of gravel. "You're going to help me with this." She gestured dramatically at a ridiculously oversized, shrink-wrapped trampoline box sitting precariously on a pallet near me. I blinked. Sorry ma'am, I don't actually work here." I even gave her a little shrug, motioning to my decidedly non-Walmart uniform attire, a worn band tee and cargo shorts. I mean, common sense, right? Her eyes narrowed. "Don't you lie to me. I saw you just now, looking at stock. You're just trying to get out of doing your job." Her voice ratcheted up a notch, attracting a few curious glances from down the aisle. "No, really, I don't." I tried again, my patience already thinning. "I'm just a customer trying to buy this bin." I pointed to my prize. That was a mistake. Her face went from pinched irritation to full-blown outrage. "Oh, so now you're too good to help a paying customer? Just because I'm a woman, you think you can disrespect me? I need this. It's for my grandson." Her voice was booming now, practically vibrating the air around us. My jaw tightened. This wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a performance. "Look, lady, I don't work here. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to finish my shopping." I grabbed my storage bin and tried to sidestep her. "Oh, no, you don't," she shrieked, actually planting herself more firmly in my path. "You are not going anywhere until you help me. This is your job. You are deliberately avoiding your responsibilities." "Okay, that was it. Get out of my way," I said, my voice low and firm. "I told you, I don't work here. Leave me alone." And that's when the chase began. She lunged, not exactly at me, but more in my general direction, letting out a guttural roar. "You can't just run from your duties. I'll report you. You'll be fired." I didn't exactly run, but I definitely power walked away, holding that big, empty storage bin like a shield. The absurdity of it all was almost paralyzing. A woman, easily twice my width, huffing and puffing behind me, bellowing about my duties as a supposed Walmart employee. I could hear her wheezing, the heavy thud of her feet, her indignant squawks. I tried to duck into the next aisle, but she was surprisingly agile for her size. "Stop right there, you hear me?" she bellowed, her voice echoing off the high ceilings. People were definitely staring now. Little kids were pointing. My face was burning, a mix of humiliation and pure, unadulterated disbelief. I swear, she was like a human heat-seeking missile, locked onto my retreating back. I was picking up speed, trying to make it to the main thoroughfare, hoping to lose her in the crowd, when it happened. She must have been so focused on me, so completely blind to her surroundings, that she just didn't see it. A small, innocent-looking puddle of clear liquid near the refrigerated section. Probably just melted ice. 1 second she was a raging bull. The next there was a surprised, strangled gasp, a sickening thud, and then the sight of her splayed out on the linoleum, her arms and legs askew. The large storage bin almost flew out of my hands. My initial thought was pure, unadulterated relief. But then the human instinct kicked in. I hesitated, then turned back, taking a cautious step toward her. "Hey, are you okay?" I asked, genuinely concerned despite everything. She slowly, painfully, pushed herself up onto an elbow, glaring at me with the venom of 1,000 angry wasps. Her face was contorted, her hair askew. "You," she shrieked, pointing a trembling finger. "You pushed me, you shoved me to the ground and ran away." My jaw dropped. "What? I did not. I was trying to get away from you. I just asked if you were okay." By this point, the entire store seemed to have converged. Shoppers with carts full of groceries, teenagers with earbuds hanging out, even a couple of actual Walmart employees in their vests, all forming a silent, gaping semicircle around us. It was like a live-action theater performance, and I was the reluctant lead. She was practically spitting now, clutching her side dramatically. "I'm hurt. My back. My knee. You assaulted me. I'm calling the police. I'm suing this store for unsafe conditions and for employing psychopaths." Her demands grew wilder, more unhinged, her voice a piercing siren in the suddenly hushed store. A weary-looking manager, a man with tired eyes and a name tag that read Gary, finally pushed his way through the crowd. "Ma'am? Sir? What exactly is going on here?" he asked, sounding like he'd heard it all before. "He works here," she screamed, pointing at me with renewed vigor. "He refused to help me. He ran away, and then he pushed me. I want him fired. I want compensation for my injuries, and I want this store shut down for having death traps on its floors." Gary looked at me, then at my very un-uniform-like shirt, then back at me. He raised an eyebrow. "Sir, do you work for Walmart?" "No, Gary," I said, feeling utterly drained. "I'm just trying to buy a storage bin." She cornered me, accused me of working here, and then chased me across the store when I said I didn't. Gary sighed, a deep, world-weary sound. He turned back to the screaming woman. "Ma'am, I understand you're upset, but this gentleman doesn't work here. He's a customer just like you." "That's a lie," she shrieked, trying to stand up but wincing and flopping back down. "He's protecting him. This is a conspiracy. I want corporate. I want my lawyer." Gary pinched the bridge of his nose. He looked at me again, an apology clear in his eyes. "Sir, I'm really sorry about all this. It's probably best if you just leave for now. We'll handle this." Honestly, best advice I'd heard all day. I gave him a small, grateful nod, clutched my giant storage bin, and started to make my escape through the gawking crowd. As I walked away, her furious demands still echoed behind me. Fired, sued, compensation. But they started to fade. I got to my car, tossed the bin in the back, and just leaned against the door for a moment, letting out a shaky laugh. Who knew a trip to Walmart for a storage bin could turn into a full-blown public spectacle? Some people just live for the drama, I guess. Me? I just wanted to organize my garage. But hey, at least I got a hell of a story out of it. And you know what? That bin was totally worth it.
All right, the last story is wild, and it's not what you think. Before we get into it, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next round.
Hurry up! I haven't got all day, you know. The words, sharp and sudden, snapped through the crisp autumn air. I froze, squeegee mid-swipe, a sudsy streak hanging precariously on a stranger's windshield. "Excuse me?" I slowly straightened up, my helpful smile dissolving into something far less cheerful. Just 10 minutes earlier, I was on top of the world. Shopping done, a well-deserved coffee and pastry waiting, and my own car sparkling clean after a quick scrub in the grocery store parking lot. I'd just popped my trunk for the squeegee when a battered minivan, paint faded and windows caked with road grime, pulled up right beside me. The driver, a middle-aged woman with a tight bun and an even tighter expression, didn't even bother with a hello. She just pointed at her windshield, then at my squeegee, and gave a little flick of her wrist. "Could you do mine too? I'm in a bit of a hurry." A bit forward, yeah, but I was in a good mood. Plus, her windows looked genuinely disgusting, a hazard really, so I figured why not? I grabbed a fresh cloth from my trunk, splashed some cleaner, and got to work. Big mistake. Huge. It took all of 2 minutes for her hurry to morph into full-blown impatience. I could hear her tapping her fingers on the steering wheel, a rapid-fire staccato that grated on my nerves. She kept checking her watch, then glaring at me through the half-cleaned glass like I was personally responsible for the slow rotation of the Earth. I tried to ignore it, focusing on getting every last smudge, but the vibe was just radiating off her. It was that specific, entitled hum that screams, "You're wasting my precious time." And then came the bark. "Hurry up! I haven't got all day, you know." That was it. The final straw. My internal Good Samaritan switch flipped to off with a resounding click. I turned to face her, squeegee still in my hand, dripping. "Oh, I'm sorry," I said, my voice carefully flat. "I wasn't aware I was on the clock. For you?" Her jaw dropped, a perfect O of surprise. "What? Fine, then I'm not paying you," she spluttered, as if she'd just caught me trying to rob her. I couldn't help but let out a short, incredulous laugh. "Paying me, lady? I was doing you a favor. For free, because I'm a nice person." Which clearly isn't a trait you share. I tossed the squeegee back into my trunk with a satisfying thud. "You want clean windows? You can do 'em yourself." She sputtered, mouth opening and closing like a fish. But I thought you worked here. You had a squeegee." "And I also have a car," I retorted, gesturing vaguely at my own vehicle. "Does that make me a valet?" "No. I don't work here. I'm just a regular person who cleaned her own windows, and then, inexplicably, decided to clean yours too." Her face went from shock to beet red. She mumbled something under her breath, probably not a compliment, then violently cranked her window up, threw the minivan into reverse, and sped out of the parking lot, leaving a faint scent of burnt rubber and simmering entitlement in her wake. I just stood there for a moment, the squeegee still rattling faintly in my trunk, a wave of exasperation and a weird sort of satisfaction washing over me. It just blows my mind how quickly some people jump to conclusions, how they see a simple act of helpfulness or even just someone holding a tool and immediately assume you're their hired help. And the moment you don't conform to that little box they put you in, suddenly you're the rude one. Honestly, it's exhausting. But hey, at least my windows were sparkling. And hers? Well, she's got plenty of time to get 'em shiny now. Maybe she'll learn to say please and, more importantly, thank you, on her next try. Stay safe out there, folks. Don't let the Karens of the world dim your shine.
The clinking of crystal and hushed chatter of a high society black-tie dinner was suddenly pierced by a sharp, imperious voice. "Excuse me, you! More red wine now?" I barely had time to register the crimson-gowned woman's glare before her perfectly manicured fingers clamped onto my arm, yanking me out of my pleasant reverie. I mean, I was literally mid-sip of my own excellent Pinot Noir. Talk about an immediate buzzkill. It was one of those nights, you know, a proper black tie affair. I was suited up in my best, feeling pretty good about life, enjoying the pre-dinner cocktails, the rich scent of polished mahogany and expensive perfume filling the air. As a guest of honor and, frankly, a presenter for one of the big awards later on, I was feeling pretty chuffed to be there. The conversations were sparkling, the canapés were exquisite, and everything was just classy. Then there was her, the lady in red. I started calling her in my head. She was at the table next to ours, draped in this truly spectacular, vivid red gown that absolutely screamed, "Look at me?" And she was certainly making sure everyone did. From the moment she sashayed in, there was an unmistakable air of proprietorship about her, like she owned the very air we were breathing. She'd already sent back her appetizer with a dramatic flourish, loudly critiqued the floral arrangements, and had been constantly snapping her fingers at the actual waitstaff. I watched her, amused but also wary, sipping my champagne and thinking, yep, this one's going to be work. Dinner itself was a gastronomic delight, but I couldn't entirely relax. Every now and then, I'd feel her eyes on me, a calculating, almost predatory gaze. It was as if she was sizing me up, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce, to make her grand, entitled entrance into my evening, and boy, did she pick a moment. Just as the main course plates were being cleared, the awards ceremony looming, and I was finally about to enjoy a quiet, contemplative sip of my red wine. Bam! Her fingers were on my forearm, a surprisingly strong grip, and her demand cut through the low hum of conversation like a knife. More red wine now? My first thought was, is she joking? But her face, contorted into a mask of impatient expectation, told me she was deadly serious. I slowly put my glass back down. "Excuse me?" I asked, trying to keep my voice even, though a tiny vein might have been throbbing in my temple. "Don't excuse me," she huffed, tightening her grip. Her tone was sharp, dripping with condescension. "I asked for more red wine, and I've been waiting for ages. You're just standing there doing nothing." She gestured around vaguely. "Get a move on before I complain to your manager." I blinked. My entire table had gone silent, forks hovering midair. Across the way, her own table seemed to shrink away, pretending a sudden fascination with the patterns on the tablecloth. A slow, incredulous smile spread across my face. "Ma'am," I said, my voice carefully modulated, "I think there's been a slight misunderstanding. I don't work here." Her eyes, which had been narrowed in annoyance, widened comically. A low gasp escaped her lips. "What do you mean you don't work here? You're in a suit. You're standing there." She looked around, frantic, as if expecting someone to rush to my side and confirm my subordinate status. When no one moved, she pointed a finger at me, her voice rising in pitch. "Don't be ridiculous. Of course you work here. I need more wine, and I'm entitled to it." Ah, there it was, the golden phrase, a genuine, unadulterated "I'm entitled to it." It was beautiful in its horribleness. A mischievous spark ignited inside me. This wasn't just an "I don't work here" moment. This was an opportunity. I calmly detached her hand from my arm, took a deliberate step back, and scanned the room. I spotted one of the actual waiters, a young man named Mark, who usually served our section and knew me from previous events. I walked over to him, keeping my voice low but firm, almost conspiratorial. "Mark," I said, with an air of discreet authority, "could you do me a favor?" The lady in the red dress over there. I subtly nodded towards her. She was now glaring at me, arms crossed, clearly expecting me to return with her wine. She seems to be feeling a little parched. Could you bring her a large glass of ice water? And please, make it look very urgent. Mark, who had probably witnessed the entire exchange, stifled a laugh, a flicker of understanding passing between us. He gave a quick nod and, with a knowing grin, strode purposefully towards the lady in red's table. She watched him approach, a triumphant smirk beginning to form on her face. Her eyes met mine briefly. A smug, "See? I told you so" look. Then Mark presented her with a towering glass of sparkling, ice-cold water. The change in her expression was instantaneous and glorious. The smirk melted away, replaced by utter bewilderment. Her jaw actually dropped. "Water?" She sputtered, her voice barely a whisper, then louder. "I wanted red wine. What is this?" Mark, ever professional, offered a polite, "Of course, ma'am, one glass of refreshing ice water as requested." He then, with a subtle nod, turned and quickly walked away before she could unleash her full fury. I sat back down, a wave of profound satisfaction washing over me. The lady in red was sputtering, looking from the glass of water to her tablemates, who were now openly stifling laughter, then to me. Her face was a fantastic picture of confusion and indignation. She was stuck with the water, and her humiliation was palpable. The awards ceremony finally kicked off. The host, a rather flamboyant MC, boomed into the microphone. And now, to present our prestigious Innovator of the Year award, we have a very special guest, a true visionary in his field. A man who knows a thing or two about making things happen. Please welcome to the stage Mr. My Name. I rose from my seat, a slight, knowing smile playing on my lips. As I made my way to the stage, I couldn't resist a quick glance at the lady in red. Her head had shot up at the mention of my name, and her eyes, which had been narrowed in residual frustration, suddenly went wide, like dinner plate wide. Her mouth, which had been open to complain about the water, snapped shut so fast I thought she might bite her tongue off. As I took the microphone, acknowledging the applause, I saw her slump back into her chair. The vivid red gown now seemed to swallow her whole, her face draining of all color. Shock, disbelief, dawning horror, and a simmering absolute mortification warred across her features. She looked utterly, profoundly defeated. It was quite simply the perfect end to a perfectly absurd night, and the best part? I bet she thought twice about grabbing a random stranger for a drink again. Some lessons just hit different when they come with a side of public humiliation.
This next video hits the same vibe. Check it out.